Hey guys, Micah from Black Bear Custom Kydex. I have a holster to show you, obviously. This one is for the original Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9mm. This is not the 2.0. This is just the original M&P Shield 9mm. I had a heck of a time tracking down a molding prop for it, a blue gun as we call them. Blue gun is kind of the term we use now, kind of like Band-Aid, not necessarily a Band-Aid brand, but still call it a Band-Aid. This is a proper blue gun brand, blue gun, obviously called blue gun because it's blue. But there are a lot of the companies making molding props like this. I'm not actually sure who made this one, but yeah. So anyway, I had a heck of a time tracking one down, but another Kydex guy who happened to be from Maine happened to have one that he was willing to sell, so I bought it off of him and got this going. This project is going to Josh. Josh asked for a paddle holster, an OWB paddle holster in brown Raptor. That's leather looking Kydex. There are two different leather looking Kydex patterns. One of them is this, whatever you want to call this type of pattern. And the other one is, this is Raptor. The other one is called True Hide, and it's got a different physical pattern on it. And within Raptor and True Hide, there are different colors. So this is brown Raptor. All right. So it's a simple holster on an OWB paddle. This is the small G code paddle. Basically, if you're not familiar, you don't necessarily have to have a belt on, although it'll work better if you do. But you put the paddle inside your waistband and it'll put pressure, hopefully tucking under a belt, and the holster stays outside the waistband and it should get a pretty secure grip. These are really aggressive claws. They will work without a belt, but again, it's always best if you have the belt. So it creates a strong hold, and then you can just draw and it should keep the holster stable and connected to your pants. I always have adjustable retention in my holsters. You can see this gap here, which is formed by putting a plate on the holster, or on the blue gun when you form. I make all my own plates. You can see this one's just a piece of craft wood. Fits like so. So when I heat the Kydex, I wrap it around it and I form it, it causes there to be this gap here. That means that I can poke a hole through it and put a Chicago screw in there, and then you can open or close that gap according to how tight you want it to be on your firearm. So adjustable retention. You can't really see it, but oh, maybe you can. Technically, you have slight adjustability. You can tilt the OWB, you can tilt the paddle in either direction, about 10 degrees I want to say. You can even technically move it down. This is as high as it's, oh no, you can move it up or down. So you got minimal, but you do have some cant and ride height adjustability. It's really hard to create as wide a range of adjustability with a paddle because of how wide the base is, the mounting base for this. So I typically just kind of trace the 4 holes that are on it and make sure that there's a prop big enough for those. So that's what you're looking at here. Now Josh had also seen a product I made one time before. This is only the second one I've ever made. This is a paddle adapter dash mount. That's not a very compelling product name, so I just call it it's my paddle dash mount. Basically, how this works is it interfaces with the paddle itself. You can see it's got the contour of the paddle. So you just screw this into the underside of your dash using those eyelets, and then when you want to use your weapon in it, you insert it like so, and it just stays there. You're going to want, my hand represents the dash, so you're going to want it to be, in this case it's a right-handed draw. You want your palm facing up. You can do it the other way. I mean, I could have made it the other way and made an adapter that fits over the holster itself. The problem with that is that there's not enough room for you to slip your hand in between the dash and your holster unless it's standing off significantly. So this is actually the lowest profile option, and it's going to allow you to reach under, draw your weapon, and then bring it up if you need it. I make sure that the retention of the mount or the adapter, whatever you want to call this, on the paddle is greater than the retention of the holster on the firearm, meaning you can draw your firearm and this holster is going to stay put right where it's at. You don't want the holster coming out on you. That's definitely a security risk. At the same time, when you do want to draw your holster out so that you can put it back on as you leave your car, you can just pistol grip your firearm and just put your thumb, essentially just pinching the holster, and just kind of wiggle it free. It is a tight hold in there, but that's by design. You want to be able to drive around, have your car going over bumps without this thing falling out on you. It is absolutely not an option to have this be loose inside this. So the whole thing works together like so. So we got Brown Raptor on this holster, and you can see this is obviously in flat black. I've got my logo and the American flag stamped in because America, why not? And I'm really happy with how this came out. The whole thing kind of just turned out nice. Giving you guys a real quick close-up of the holster. You can see I do some things to ensure that the slide is nice and open over the ejection port. You're not going to snag your ejection port. The trigger well, which is what I am constantly preaching, needs to be filled in except for the very front of it. This is where all the retention comes from. That little divot right there that grips the front of your trigger guard, that is the retention spot. However, the rest of it, where the trigger actually is located, is almost, you can almost not tell that there's a contour here. I fill out the middle of that trigger guard as much as possible, or trigger well rather, so that it's impossible for the Kydex to engage your trigger. This is something I'm a real big proponent of because it has happened, and I see it all the time. I'm a member of a couple different Kydex groups on Facebook, and most of the guys on there are professionals, but some of the guys are just hobbyists that are getting on there and they want feedback from guys that really know their stuff. And so you'll see sometimes somebody will pop on and they'll show a picture of like a holster they just made, and you can see the trigger, like you can see both sides of the trigger. That is very dangerous, guys. Don't ever buy a holster from someone who's making that. It is, I'm not saying it to try to get somebody else's business. I don't even care about that. It has happened before and it will happen again, that things like having your ejection port molded into, which will rack your slide as you insert your gun into the holster, or having your trigger. I mean, the whole reason to have a holster is so your trigger doesn't get pulled on accident. So why would you want a holster that can pull the trigger for you? It's happened. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm beginning to rant. I get mad. I get frustrated. Let me know what you guys think of this. I think it came out pretty nice. I really like the retention on it. It's smooth right up until it hits that little divot, and then a little push to click in. Very good retention on it. You can obviously tighten or loosen it, and this dash mount just kind of makes a nice little travel companion for when you want to hop in your car, but you don't want to wear your OWB holster while you're seated. So give me your thoughts down below. Are there any pros or cons? How do you guys like this setup? Is this something that you would be interested in, these dash mounts? I am thinking about trying to make a pile of them and just have them ready to ship on my website. However, they are going to have to be specific to the individual paddle that anybody happens to carry. So for now, I'm going to default to, if I do put any up there, they'll be compatible only with this size of G-code paddle. I think there are 3 different sizes. I think this is the medium size actually. So they'd only be compatible with this one G-code paddle. I'm also thinking about sending it away to a good buddy of mine who's an excellent Kydex worker and has a vacuum press, which can get, super crisp definition. And so I might have him vac form some shells essentially. So I'd be paying him to mass produce something like this with even better definition on it, so that I could doctor it up and more efficiently provide a product at a lower cost, all that good stuff. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Is this a product that you would consider if you carry with a paddle? Why or why not? I'd love to get some feedback, some conversations generated below. But in the meantime, guys, stick around for some more videos. I appreciate you tuning in for this one. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.